they're not alienated from rock at all. They are just doing a little independent thing and still working together with rock, which is really wonderful. All right, so our children and the law, and this week's topic, what help is there for children accused of doing wrong? And we have Keisha Williams, which I call my co-host, who is the executive director of ROC and also director of the Child Diversion Division of the Ministry of Justice, Jamaica, Ms. Vanessa Clark. Welcome, ladies. Did I pronounce the name properly? Hold on.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good.
Morning.
Okay, having a little. Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, I having a. Yeah. So you're doing fine. You're doing well, and we're here once again. It's all about the children, you know, and very, very important topic, I must add. And we're going to dig deep into it right about now, and do a formal introduction. All right, Keisha. You know, as usual, do a little introduction on rock before we segue into the meat of the matter, or I like to say the vegetable of the matter. All right, so go right ahead, Keisha.
Okay, definitely, Denise. Well, the Women's Resource Outreach Center is an organization. We're an NGO. We have been around for over 40 odd years, and we have been one of the among the key advocates regarding the Maternal Leave Act in the late 70s. So that is, we began our advocacy in policy. And then over the years, we have championed gender and women's rights in a number of intersectionalities. We're talking about the environment, we're talking about gender-based violence, we're talking about even advocating for youth at risk, and a number of integral programs that have shaped and built the capabilities of both women and youth. And we're still doing it to date. So that is what we stand for in a nutshell.
All right, that sounds like more than a nutshell. For sure.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go to our guest now, Director of the Child Diversion Division of the Ministry of Justice, once again, Ms. Vanessa Clark. Welcome once again. First time here to Roots?
Yes, this is my first time. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So, you know, people hear the Child Diversion Division, you know, and wonder, you know, what is it really? I mean, in a way, it's self-explanatory because you say diversion, but still, elaborate a bit for us on this and the role that you play in this particular department.
So quickly, I just want to clarify. So we're the Child Diversion Branch.
Oh, it's a brand.
And we are a part of the Social Justice Division in the Ministry of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
So we are just one arm of the alternative justice options that are provided for Jamaicans. And we focus on children. So children between the ages of 12 and 17 who come into conflict with the law.
Okay. So, where it says here, what help is there for children accused of doing wrong? So we need to go now into the, as I said, the meat of the matter now to find out what are the steps, you know, because a lot of people don't even think or know that there is this possibility that this can actually happen, you know. So take us through now. We have a child now who has an issue. He's accused of doing some kind of wrong. Something happened. Take us through the journey.
Okay. So let's pretend for a moment that you have a child. Let's say he's walking with a group of friends, and for whatever reason they make a bet to say who can take out something out of the supermarket without getting caught. But he was the one who got caught, and the police was called in. This is considered larceny, or stealing as we call it in Jamaica. When you do the checks, you realize that this is a child who does well in school, you know, has good support at home, is on the cricket team, is just well-rounded. But for whatever reason, he decided to do this. What the diversion program offers is an opportunity for that child to get another chance to make better decisions. So, for example, a couple of years ago, let's say about 5 years ago, we would have to go through the formal legal proceedings. So you'd be charged, you'd go to court, and all of that would take place. The diversion program, however, as the name implies, it offers them an opportunity to divert, to change their track. And that is done through, one, the victim consenting to them being a part of the program. So we know that the
Oh,
victims...
the victim has to consent.
Yes.
Okay.
So we do know that the victims, they have a right to what we call redress, or to get justice, as they would say, and we cannot dictate how they want to do that. However, this is one option for them. So, for example, if this shop owner says, you know what, I normally see this little kid coming around, he's usually...
He's cool. He buys
Yes.
his stuff. You know? Yeah.
And I don't want to criminalize him for just stealing maybe 2 biscuits from the supermarket. He can then say to the police, I am okay with this child being diverted. And the child gets the opportunity now to see not only that his behavior was an illegal act, but he also gets an opportunity to see how he can make better decisions in the future. And in a nutshell, I think that is what child diversion offers, because oftentimes, you know, children are going to make mistakes, and some of those mistakes are actually against the law, but they don't know. And the diversion program offers them an option to just redirect themselves. We guide them on that path, and to just make better decisions overall.
So, could you remind me what the age range is?
12 to 17.
Okay, all right. And how do you get like the parents involved, or the caregiver involved in all of this in terms of moving forward? You know, even schools. I don't know if that is a part of it as well. Teachers and so forth.
So for the child diversion program, the referrals can be received from the court or the police. And you can appreciate why, because this is if you come into conflict with the formal justice system.
Right.
And there are only a few ways that you can do that, is the court or the police. But once that child comes into conflict with the system, their parent or guardian has to come in. They have to be a part of it.
Of course.
So whether they're at the police station or at court, they have to be a part of it, to sign to say, I was present, they were not coerced into signing, to say they want to be a part of the program, and just to be a part of our assessment to determine, you know, what type of interventions we can provide for this child.
And if the parent is thinking, no, my pitney never do that, I don't feel comfortable with doing this because if I don't grow him like that never happened, and blah 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 blah. How does that work? Because you still need to have that intervention, right, from a parent or caregiver.
Yes. So what we try to do, we try to explain. So if they're at the police station, the police will try to explain, or a child diversion officer will explain the process to the parent. We'll explain that this does not mean that the child is making a plea to say, I'm innocent or I'm guilty. It just means that they're open to being a part of the program. And the beautiful thing about the program is, if they were not charged, they wouldn't be charged. So everything is halted until they complete the program. If they were at court, the proceedings would be halted the same way until the program is completed. So what it does, it gives that child the opportunity to just, one, not be at a correctional facility and be at home with the parent. The parent can still supervise, but we always try to ensure that we explain to the parents, you know, this is something that might be able to help your child. Because for the program, we not only focus on the matter that was sent to us. So say, for example, this child was sent to us for simple larceny, but we find out that for whatever reason, this child experienced some traumatic things, at early childhood trauma that was never dealt with. We try to deal with that in the program. So we don't only deal with the matter that is sent to us. We try to provide, you know, holistic kind of interventions.
So before we go back to Keisha, does that also, counseling would be involved then?
Yes.
Right there and then, at that point. You definitely have to have some counseling for not only the child, but also the family, right? The parents.
Yes.
Okay, good. Keisha, in terms of ROC now, you know, what kind of interventions are you utilizing for this particular topic for today in terms of the children and what they go through in terms of the law?
Well, over the years, we have actually implemented programs that dealt with at-risk youth and who may have have come into conflict with the law. And what we realize when, and having had a background in assessing initiatives also that, deal with a lot of at-risk youth, we found that a lot of young people just need outlets. They need outlets to
Absolutely.
to not only talk it out, but to have outlets to just work out whatever it is that's going on emotionally, and even socially. Because some of the issues coming from home, it's
Right.
coming from frictions
Their
at school,
environs.
environment, a lot of things. And we've had like interventions like after school interventions, after school programs. So what we have coming out right now is a STEM initiative. We find that we're just not going to just implement a program and say, okay, this is a program that we just want to, talk about issues regarding what is wrong with you or point a finger or anything like that. But we want to give, young people an environment that they can actually, shine in terms of their creativity, in terms of, and even give them an avenue where they can find new skills. And so we're looking into implementing, actually, 21st century trend-setting models that's out there, things like STEM,
So we have so
AI,
much-
all of that.
we have so much competition with these children. There's so much distraction.
Right.
You
But
know?
the good thing about it is that we are, a lot of our children are coming from environments that they wouldn't be able to afford a lot of these initiatives, and they're coming from some environments where they would have been deemed, at risk, or they would have come in conflict with the law and such forth. And so we work with young people like that. And so we will continue to implement programs along that line. So whatever initiatives we can, implement that would have young people having an avenue to just express their emotions, a lot of what is going on, we will continue to do so.
Our young people are going through a very trying time right now, as you can see. Like almost every week or more often than that, there is some kind of altercation in schools. I saw a very disturbing picture of two young ladies, from Meadowbrook High School in the middle of the street fighting, and there's so many others. So, when we look into this particular area with Rock and so forth, what are we doing to possibly, especially now we say we have Child Month, we have a theme, then we move on, but this has to be ongoing, obviously. What are we doing? What are we doing in terms of setting up programs here and now and for the rest of the year too? Because I think we're in a critical state right now when it comes on to our children and what's happening with them and what they're doing and why they might go into a shop and they'll be so vulnerable to their friends to say, well, okay, yeah, let me see if I can rob something, because the focus, there's no focus there, they're distracted and so forth. What do you think that we can do in terms of the organizations to make a difference now, because we're in critical zone? Either of you can answer.
You want me to?
Go ahead first.
Okay. I can have Ms. Clark speaking in regards to the interventions coming from the Ministry of Justice, because
Right.
I know there's quite a number, like restorative justice, child diversion, all of that. Good tools. When it comes on to the CSO and NGO space, I think a lot more communication and networking can be done, especially when it comes on to initiatives that will actually, speak to the emotional and the social, the psychosocial issues.
So this is the roots. That's
Right.
the roots of the issues. the
Exactly.
problems, yeah.
It calls for a holistic intervention. I just remember that as a young girl growing up, I used to hear things about and it had nothing to do with my school or anything, but you just hearsay, like the Tivoli dancers and the sports team, and you used to hear that they used to put on initiatives and a lot of things, and even when they carried those initiatives to other school, it created a forum where the peace could have been kept, because a lot of young people had angles, they had forums to, as I said, to express themselves. And, you know, we need to go back and roll up our sleeve again and find out, you know, the successful interventions that happened over the years.
Oh, yes. Yeah, man.
And how we can bring that back into, you know, our schools. How we can create a new model that will speak to, you know, your new generation, these new alphas coming up, you know, that know they stick to they're glued to the screen. You can't take them off.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but, you know, they will focus on things like the arts. Initiatives and like that, and we need to get back into programs that will, because obviously our young people they need to be refocused. They need to, there needs to be more efforts from even the ministries in regards to working along with NGOs.
Yeah, collaboration.
Understanding when it comes on to, you know, the emotional and psychosocial support, there are various intersections to delivering help and support.
Right.
And we need to look into that more. So I think there should be some kind of model that refocuses looking at the entire gambit of the situation and networking with NGOs and CSOs on the ground to come up with some serious national initiative that will, you understand, refocus the energy of our young people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's 25 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. You're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. We're in the rock program. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll go straight to Miss Clark and find out how we can make a difference, all right, to the Ministry of Justice. Just a moment. We'll be right back.
Hey, listen to Roots FM, the number one station to on the world. Want to listen to Roots FM, the number one station throughout the nation. Hey, listen, listen. Yes, you got to listen to Roots Radio Station and the music they play. Hey, yeah, listen, Roots they play, Roots they play.
Be your bridge when you need to make it over. I'll be the sign when you're lost along the way. When you see the light come shining in the darkness, just know in time you're never all alone. 24/7, Jah will be there. I've got assurance He's always there, and I can never imagine life being the same way, 'cause without love I'm nothing at all. I can never surrender, no, though they try to do me wrong. Let the weak say I am strong. You got to hold on. There's a road you got to travel, many dangers up ahead, and we can never be defeated. Don't you ever be afraid. 24/7, be there. I've got assurance he is always there, and I can never
Good morning
imagine.
once again. You're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. We're into our Women's Resource Outreach Center program. And, of course, it is Our Children of the Law. What help is there for our children accused of doing wrong? So we have Keisha Williams, Executive Director of ROC, and also Vanessa Clark. I like the name, Vanessa, Director of the Child Branch, you said, right, of the Ministry of Justice. So we're back at you now, Ms. Clark, in terms of the interventions, right? What is, what's the process in terms of the interventions and how we can make a difference, how you can make a difference in that particular area for our children?
All right, so allow me for a moment to explain how the Social Justice Division brings everything together. So in order for an offense to take place or something to happen, a conflict, there has to be a victim and an offender. Someone is causing the harm, someone was harmed. The Social Justice Division provides different interventions for different individuals. So we have the Victim Services Branch that focuses on providing interventions for victims of crime. It helps them to get redress, deal with the psychological trauma associated with that. It also does, the branch also helps with court support, so preparing maybe a child who has never been to court, it might be overwhelming for them, all of that. The branch does that. So that branch focuses on victims, and it's adults and children. Then, as mentioned before, you have child diversion. We focus on the offenders who come into conflict with the law, child offenders, of course. And we help them to be diverted or to change their way of operating, way of thinking, and so on. Then we have the Restorative Justice Branch that seeks to promote healing or restoring relationships. So oftentimes you'll find that in some issues, it might be family or friends or something of the sort, and that relationship has to be restored. So yes, I was offended, yes, I was harmed, but it allows for both the victim and the offender to come together in a circle, talk about how they feel, how the behavior impacted them. And
Is that usually a difficult process when the victim, comes together with the perpetrator? Usually what kind of energy is there in that particular coming together? Is it usually something that's, I would say it might be a little difficult in some cases?
Pardon me. So what usually takes place before they come together, in order to ensure that they're prepared to come together, there has to be a pre-meeting. So the restorative justice officer will contact the victim and the offender. They will go through the process indicating what to expect, ensuring that they know that they can bring a community support with them. So maybe a family member or a friend or a justice of the peace, someone who can be there to support. And after they do the pre-meeting, then they determine with the victim as well as the offender, are they ready to come together? Because you don't want to bring them together if they're not ready for it. But the process is explained in a way that they understand what will happen. So they're not coming together in a space where everything is going to be brand new. They know what to anticipate already. So that kind of reduces the friction that would take place. However, you still will find a little animosity there.
That's
but
only natural.
Usually after the process, you'll hear reports on how, before they came in, everybody kind of sitting sideways and all of that. And then by the time the conference is done, you will find that people are crying on each other's shoulders, they're hugging each other and so on. So it just brings together the beauty of the Social Justice Division, because justice for everybody looks different.
That's it.
However, whatever the option you decide to choose, the Ministry of Justice is there to provide an alternative for you. So it's easier. And as mentioned, all of these services, so the Child Diversion Branch, the Victim Services Branch, and Restorative Justice, all of these services are free to the clients.
Very
So they can
important.
come in and access the services. For restorative justice and victim services, those referrals can come, they can walk in. So if, for example, this morning you had an argument with your neighbor and so on, and you say, you know what, let's find restorative justice, and their branches, their offices across the island, they can walk in. They can also get referrals from the court or the police, and the same for victim services. They can walk in and get referrals. However, for child diversion, because of the nature of what we do, the referrals can come from only the police and the court.
Right, yeah. The process, though, based on what you're saying, because you also mentioned that if they aren't ready, it would defeat the purpose of them really coming together. So, in general, how long is that process? I know it will vary, from case to case, but how long is the process? And then also, is there, after everything is done, is there a continuation for a period of time? Like a couple months to make sure everybody's okay. They're doing, is that still in place?
All right, so I'll tell you about the restorative justice process briefly, and then I'll tell you about the child diversion process.
Okay, thanks.
So for the restorative justice process, it could be over in a month or two, depending on how people are feeling. So and it could be less time. So if you're open to resolving the issue, it could be less time. So you're open to speaking honestly, fairly, accepting where you caused the harm, acknowledging where, something was done wrong, and you come to an agreement. So after a conference, the conference is usually maybe 3 hours or so, depending on, and you'll hear officers say, you'll hear officers say they had to, take a break and come back because
It was
of
intense.
yes. But once that is done, they have an agreement. So if it was sent by the court, it would be reported to the court that they came to an agreement that, for example, 2 persons were fighting and one got injured for whatever reason, and there was harm and there has to be a medical bill. An agreement could be, I will pay the medical bills and I will not allow my animal, whatever the case is, to go on it. And they agree on that. It is sent back to the court. But the restorative justice branch also follows up with them, I think for at least 3 to 6 months, to find out if they're sticking with the agreement that was
what I was concerned about.
that was agreed on. For the child diversion branch, though, because of the nature of our work, and I'll walk you through it in a little bit, it might take up to 6 months for the child to complete the program, depending on the risk level. And 6 months is for a child who we may consider low risk, because we individualize each diversion program. We cannot just look at a child and say, oh yes, you're going to be in the program for 3 months.
Right, yeah.
Because we have to do a risk and needs assessment to determine what is happening with this child, what are their needs, how can we provide the suitable interventions. And then once that is done, you might find that it is going 6 months or more, depending on the need of the child. Because as mentioned before, we don't only treat with the matter that was sent to us, but if we find that they have other issues that need to be dealt with, we try to work on those as well.
Okay. Keisha, in terms of ROC and of course now Web, right? I know you mentioned something about a STEM program that was done before, and I don't know if it's still in existence. Is it still in existence?
No,
with
okay.
regards to?
Yeah, I briefly, we're launching a new STEM initiative this month. And at the end of the project, we're going to be launching a STEAM hub.
Yeah, like
So if I speak,
STEAM hub.
so the Women's Resource Outreach Center, we just recently got funded by Women Win, a free STEM fund. And we will be actually providing, it's a pilot program, but 10 girls will be doing a STEM. They'll be involved in a STEM initiative where they'll be learning robotics and coding. It's about robotics and coding.
Okay.
These are 10 girls that wouldn't. It's actually more 10 to 15 because they're so excited. We wanted to target girls because it's still a very male oriented and dominated field, and a lot of girls still shy away
Right.
from STEM programs.
Yes, yeah.
And and because of the stigma behind it, so boys feel a lot more comfortable with STEM.
Yeah.
We want to, and then more so if the girls would be coming from situations that we wouldn't be able to afford to do so. Robotics and coding is very expensive. The classes. So
Right.
when we told them that this would be definitely free
Free,
for you,
yes,
and you'll be
yes.
getting the support and all of that, they were so excited. So even if they thought that they couldn't do it, now they're
Yeah,
reinforcing
they don't
their
have
mind
to be
and saying,
pressured
"What?"
about the
and
costing.
they're learning a lot and they're excited. So we're rolling that program out. And we're not going to leave the boys out. It's just that we wanted to get some girls into the
Involved in
door
that, yeah.
and get them involved. So hopefully when we get additional funding to launch our STEAM Hub, we'll be looking on the arts also. And then bringing
What
more.
exactly is a STEAM hub? I just love how it sounds, but what is it exactly?
We
What
said the
is it?
STEAM Hub because it sounds cool. But
I like it.
STEAM is like science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Okay.
And
It's an acronym.
yeah, because Jamaica have some of the most artistic and creative and talented young
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And the art is an expression, even when you're in the sciences. And I remember just even when my sister and I used to go to school. Even my sister, she was very good at the sciences, but the arts was able to propel her and create a creative outlet where she was able to do even better in the sciences.
Yeah, that balance.
And there's research that backs that up that says that art, plays an integral role in our creativity. So we wanted to add that artistic sense and still bring STEAM to young people that wouldn't have been able to afford it,
Right,
wouldn't have been
yeah.
able to being exposed to it. And obviously, we're hoping that we can expand that initiative after we've been successful with this specific pilot.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked you to express that as well is because you have to do your own diversion, because at the end of the day, I'm seeing where a lot of children or young people who get involved with crime or whatever else it is, there is a void somewhere else. There's a void. They're not pursuing their passion, or they're once again distracted. So with the rock coming on board and you have this kind of programming as well, it would also help to kind of sway them
Yes.
from going in a particular direction. So we don't necessarily have to go through the process of having them go through the whole system of
Right.
so this is very important, and I want you to also, before you can do that now, as a matter of fact, give your information, how persons can get in contact with Rock, your social media handles, your phone number and so forth, so they can make a note. And phone number, because we want people to interact and call as well, so you can do that as well.
Yes, definitely. It's so easy. When you go online, just put in WROC, Rock Jamaica. I after the break I can pull it. I don't know the phone number by heart, but I know that it's online. So when we go on break, I can pull it
we're
up.
going on a break
But
in a
once you
moment.
put in WROC, our website comes up. Our Instagram is very there. You can follow our Facebook page and our Instagram page and also our Twitter page. I will say we're more consistent on our Instagram page. We need to do better on our Facebook and our Twitter. But definitely, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll get all the updates regarding our latest initiatives and how you can get involved.
Right. Before we go on the break, though, also I have a question here about the success stories. Very important. And I just got 2 messages about. Can we hear? People like to hear, hands-on. So tell us a bit now about some of the success stories, Ms. Clark, with regards to your branch.
So there are a number of them.
But that's good.
That when you hear them, they warm your heart. So one of the child diversion officers sent me a message, I think it was yesterday, of a child that was in the program. And this child was just saying, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not judging me when I made the mistakes.
Wow.
Thank you for guiding me. You know, it was such an emotion-filled message that you could see that it had an impact on the child. Because before, maybe this child was thinking, you know, nobody saw me. They only saw me for the offense that I committed,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
not thinking that this was a mistake. So just stories like those. You also have parents who I went to an event the other day, and before I could even talk about child diversion, there was a parent in the audience lauding the program. She was saying, trust me, I'm happy. I'm a part of the program. My
Yes.
child experienced it, and they take the time out to provide the services for the child. It's one thing when we come on and say
Right,
it,
right.
because oftentimes people will say, you can't say anything, you work there. But when you hear a parent saying, you know, I am so happy that I took
Results.
this child to court because you gave me my child back. Because the child was behaving in such a manner, mashing up, as we would say in Jamaican parlance, everything in the house, just being in a dark place. But coming to child diversion, she was able to restore that relationship with the child, and she saw that her child was now a different person. He was seeing things differently. So stories like those help to just not only inspire others to utilize the program, but also motivates us and the officers overall to see that the work that you're doing has an impact on the Jamaica's children.
Yeah. You know, over the past few months, and beyond that too, we're hearing a lot of issues. As a matter of fact, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're hearing a lot of issues with our children who are having all kinds of mental issues, you know. How is that dealt with? Because I'm sure you'll pick that up also when with children that come in. How are you dealing with things like that, especially at this time when it seems to be so, you know, popular?
So as I was mentioning at the top, once a child is referred to us, they come to one of our parish offices, and we have 14 offices across the island. Once they meet with the child diversion officer, an intake assessment is done. And the intake assessment covers areas such as education, psychosocial activities, self-esteem, family relationship, substance use. So in that aspect of it, we're able to determine. So say, for example, there was adverse childhood trauma, or there was some trauma that was not brought out before, or they didn't talk about it. They just kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
It would come out in the program. And even if the child came for assault occasioning bodily harm, whatever they came for, when they come to us and we identify that this is an issue, it is going to be a part of that individualized diversion program. Because the information that we get from that assessment and the needs assessment, we try to plug those holes and those gaps.
Yeah.
So we provide the interventions. And you'd be surprised because a lot of children, the first time they're talking to a psychologist, a social worker, a counselor, any at all, is when they come into the program.
Right.
And they will tell you, boy, I
Are they
missed before.
intimidated?
Yes.
My
So they used to think about it in a different way, like only certain people talk to a psychologist.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Right.
But when they come, you hear them asking, Miss, can we continue the program
Wow.
even when it's done? Because it has helped them so much to at least, I remember a child saying, you know, I feel like I can see the light now.
Wow.
And
Nice.
that
That's
in and of
beautiful.
itself
That's
shows that.
beautiful.
So, you know, we try to, and what we do in the program, we have psychologists, social workers, and guidance counselors that we contract across the island to provide the interventions for these children. So if they're in Westmoreland and we see that the child has a need, the Westmoreland officer has a number of psychologists or social workers that she can pull on to say, okay, we're going to refer the child to this person. They report to us every session that they do on a monthly basis so we can know the progress that is happening. And then as well, we monitor the child so we know what is happening from the child's perspective as well as from the psychological intervention.
Okay. It's Child Month now. Are there any programs that you have out there to make people, even to make people aware that this does exist? Or is there any specific workshop that you have going on for this particular month?
Yes. So I think since 2022, the Ministry of Justice has was on a campaign talking about the alternative justice services, child diversion being one of those services. So it was led by the Minister of Justice, Minister Chuck, and we've been across the island, every parish. We've been in schools, in churches, and we meet on Saturdays and Sundays. We've met with the justices of the peace, community fairs, so that people are aware. Recently, the ministry also wrapped up their public education campaign where we did, I think it was 10 weeks of media engagement.
We were a part of that.
Okay, so yes, so so people can become more aware of the program, and I
Very
think
informative.
and I think people are becoming, because when we compare the statistics from the previous year, so let's say, or our financial year is a little bit different. So we said 2022-23 with 2023-2024. We saw an increase of 80-something% in terms of the referrals. So we moved
Nice.
all the way from having maybe 360 to almost 600 and almost 700 referrals
That's an
overall.
impact.
So, people are seeing that the program is there and they're aware. So for Child Month specifically, we're going to have a child diversion forum where we allow the children to talk to us. We'll share the information with them about, the people that are involved in providing the circle of care for them, the interventions that they need, and they'll also help us to understand what they need as young people.
Excellent.
We'll also be doing...
When is that supposed to
So it's going to be on the 22nd of May. We're also going to be doing other activities as mentioned before. So the social justice tour will begin in May as well. And we're a part of other activities taking place across the island for Child Month.
All right. Okay, great. And they can go on your website, or they can get the
Yes.
information from you
So
there. And go ahead.
So to contact the ministry, so we have the social media handles are MOJ Official JM. So that's on X, Instagram,
No longer Twitter.
Always it.
Twitter.
Ministry of Justice on YouTube as well as Facebook. And they can always call 888 Justice, that's our toll-free line, and they can be linked with any of our services. If they want the child diversion office specifically,
Yeah.
they can dial the head office at 906-4923, and it goes up to 31. So that's 906-4923, and our extension is 5765.
Okay, great. All right, we're going to take a quick break because we're almost out of time and come back for your closing remarks. All right, you're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. This is the Women's Resource and Outreach Center program, and we will be right back. Unite to combat gender-based violence with the Women's Outreach Center ROC. Join us while we cover GBV. I feel with business, I feel with concern. Every Friday at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Roots 96.1 FM, hosted by yours truly, Denise Isis Miller. Together we can create a safer and more empowered world for all. Invest in women. Accelerate progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you.
Join me, Sugar Wayne Watkins, every Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. for The Flight. Coming through the airwaves of Roots 96.1 FM. The Flight is a musical journey with features and information. That's The Flight, Fridays, 2 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. with your host, Sugar Wayne Watkins, on Roots 96.1 FM, the voice of the inner city.
Get the real inner city community news and be informed. You can do all that and more on City Beat, Monday to Friday at 12:45 p.m. on Roots 96.1 FM. City Beat puts you in the know and keeps you rocking in a world of knowledge. So let City Beat catch you on Roots 96.1 FM, Monday to Friday at 12:45 for City Beat. City Beat is the pulse of the city, so don't miss it. Monday to Friday at 12:45 p.m. on Roots 96.1 FM.
Small business operators, are you looking for an affordable way to promote your business? Then look no further, as Roots 96.1 FM has the best advertising deals for you. Call or visit our office at 1 Mahole Drive, Kingston 11 and ask about our small business community package. Call or WhatsApp 1-876-574-0291 and benefit from this deal that will put your business on top of the map. Call now.
If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, he learns to fight. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We know that. It might sound cliche, but it is so very, very true, you know? So, wow, I can't believe that an hour is almost gone already, but, you know, it's really a pleasure having you both here, you know, and we're just going to ask you for your closing remarks regarding this particular topic. We'll start with you, Executive Director of Rock, Keisha Williams, my co-host.
All right. Well, thank you again, Denise.
You're welcome.
You know, it's just we have Child's Month, and we always have a month where we reflect on the issues going on regarding our children, and you know, I just hope that the just the powers that be, and with a lot of us, whether we're parents or guardians, aunts, teachers, whatever role we play in a child's life, we have a role. So when we talk about power, it don't have to be this grand thing, but it can be whatever it is that our role is. We do it to the best of our ability to make good citizens, and that calls for reflection in our own selves. You know, what is going on in Jamaica is it's very grave and it's serious. And everyone has a role to play in that stance to do better. So I know that for me, it's a lot of reflection, and it's a lot of womaning up in terms of responsibility. That, you know, this is my responsibility and this is what I have to do. And but there is so much more to be done. And just this opportunity, we're talking, and we're just even at Rock, we are reflective in terms of just how much it is that we need to do to just support and empower youth. And we're continuing on that light. And so I'm just, you know, just sending out the invitation, and I want to just reflect and just do better.
Yes, thank you so much. Ms. Clark, your closing remarks?
So children, as we know, they don't always make the right decisions, you know. They will make mistakes. And as adults, that is where we come in to guide them and to provide them an avenue to make better decisions. I want to encourage adults to provide to be a positive role model to a child. And you can do that by becoming a mentor for the Child Diversion Program. And, you know, you can sign up on moj.gov.jm. That is one way that we can help as adults to shape the future. We want to also encourage people not to be quick to pronounce judgment, as we normally say it, on a child for a simple offense or a simple mistake that they made, because we do know in development that will happen. And we are focused on rehabilitating these children, giving them the information they need, the resources that they need, so they will be better able to make decisions in the future. So parents, guardian, children, if they're listening, if they come into conflict with the law, they can ask whether the police or their attorney, is this a matter that can be referred to child diversion? And if it can be, then it will be. And don't be afraid of child diversion. It is an option that takes you away from the formal justice system. So you wouldn't have to worry about that so much.
Right,
And once everything is done, your slate is pretty much erased.
Yeah.
So we encourage people to utilize the service.
Absolutely, and I just want to say very informative, and I want to thank you both. Keisha Williams, thank you so much from Rock, and of course, let's get this name, Vanessa Clark.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for
and we
having
look
me.
forward to having you again, because the information is vast and it's very
Yes, it
important,
is.
even by the responses I'm getting on my WhatsApp messages. So thank you all. Have a great day as we continue to enjoy and be empowered by, hopefully by Child Month.
Yes.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take care.
All right.
You're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. Of course, it's Women Resource Outreach Center, Rock, and we always like to say, I feel with business. And of course, we acknowledge the Women's Empowerment Group web as well. All right. So we're taking a quick pause for the cause and reminding you that the theme was what help is there for children accused of doing wrong. We're going to go into our GIS feature right about now. You're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. Coming up shortly, we have Rootsology.
Please hold the key.
Taxpayers, do you have a valid credit card or debit card with credit card functions and need to pay your taxes? Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ has several payment options for you to choose what works for you. Log on to the tax portal at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. Other options include paying through direct fund transfers DFT, BNS electronic fund transfers available only through REAS, NCB online banking, Scotia online or mobile app. Additionally, if you are an Android user, you can